Imagine this for a moment. You decorate a Christmas tree. You play a Christmas song.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
You say Merry Christmas out loud. You could be questioned, and for doing that, you could be fined. In some countries, you could be arrested. In the United States, Christmas is protected by freedom of religion. Churches are open. Lights cover entire neighborhoods. No one asks permission to celebrate. But outside America, Christmas is not always welcome. In fact, in several countries around the world, Christmas is restricted, discouraged, erased, or treated as a threat. Not because people hate joy, not because people hate families, but because governments, laws, and ideologies fear what Christmas represents. This is not a video about attacking cultures. This is about laws, power, and control. Today, we are counting down the top 10 countries that hate, restrict, or ban Christmas. Some do it quietly, some do it openly, and some do it with terrifying consequences. And by the end of this video, you may never take Christmas freedom for granted again. Let's begin. At number 10, we start with a country that may surprise you. Japan. Now, Japan does not ban Christmas, but it also doesn't truly celebrate it. In Japan, Christmas has almost nothing to do with religion. Less than 1% of Japan's population is Christian. Christmas is not a national holiday. Schools stay open. Offices operate normally. Instead of church bells, Christmas in Japan looks very different. It's commercial. It's romantic. It's marketed. December 25th in Japan is more like Valentine's Day than Christmas morning. Couples book expensive dinners. Restaurants sell out weeks in advance. Hotels raise prices. And one of the strangest traditions: families eat fried chicken. Yes, fried chicken. A marketing campaign by KFC in the 1970s convinced the country that fried chicken was the official Christmas meal. But here, where it gets uncomfortable, public Christian celebrations are rare. Religious symbolism is often removed. Nativity scenes are uncommon. Churches exist, but quietly. For Japanese society, Christmas is tolerated only as entertainment, not belief. And while this may seem harmless compared to what's coming later, it shows an important pattern. When a holiday loses its meaning, it becomes easy to erase. Japan doesn't hate Christmas emotionally, but culturally, it doesn't need it. And that's why Christmas there feels empty to many Christians living inside the country. No hostility, just silence. And sometimes, silence is the first step. At number 9, we move to a country where Christmas is not just ignored, it is actively discouraged. China. Officially, China allows religion. In reality, religion is tightly controlled. The Chinese government views Christmas as a symbol of Western influence. And influence is dangerous. In recent years, several Chinese cities have banned Christmas decorations in public spaces. Shopping malls were ordered to remove trees. Schools warned students not to celebrate. Teachers were instructed to discourage Christmas activities. In some universities, students were forced to watch anti-Christmas presentations. One lecture reportedly said this: "Christmas is a foreign cultural invasion." Let that sink in. Students were told that celebrating Christmas was unpatriotic. In certain regions, police inspected shops for decorations. Store owners were warned. Some were fined. Churches were monitored closely. Christmas services still happen, but under surveillance. Cameras, security officers, government approval. In some cases, churches were ordered to cancel Christmas events entirely. Not because of violence, not because of danger, but because Christmas represents something the government cannot fully control. Faith, community, hope beyond the state. For many young Chinese people, Christmas is celebrated secretly. No posts online, no decorations near windows, no public gatherings. And tourists often make a mistake. They assume Christmas is welcome everywhere. It is. And in China, Celebrating Christmas openly can put unwanted attention on you, attention that never ends well. Compared to America, where Christmas parades fill city streets, China treats Christmas like a political risk. And this is only number 9. What comes next is much darker. If you think China is strict, the next country doesn't just discourage Christmas, it criminalizes it. And the punishment is real. At number 8, we enter a country where Christmas exists, but only behind closed doors. Brunei. On the surface, Brunei looks calm. Clean streets, quiet neighborhoods, order. But when it comes to Christmas, the rules are strict. Public celebration of Christmas is illegal. Christmas decorations in public spaces are banned. Christmas music played openly can lead to punishment. Even wearing Santa hats in public can attract attention. Why? Because Brunei follows strict religious law. The government officially allows Christians to celebrate Christmas, but only privately. Inside homes, inside churches, behind walls. In 2015, Brunei introduced harsher religious laws. Penalties included heavy fines and prison sentences. And while authorities later clarified enforcement, the message was already clear. Celebrate quietly or don't celebrate at all. Churches in Brunei do hold Christmas services, but security is tight. Attendees are monitored. Events are not advertised publicly. For locals who are Christian, Christmas feels like something that must be hidden. No lights in windows. No trees outside. No carols. Foreign workers and expats learn quickly. What's normal in America can become a legal issue here. In the United States, Christmas spills into the streets. In Brunei, it disappears indoors. Not because people hate Christmas, but because the law does not tolerate visibility. And when celebration becomes secrecy, fear slowly replaces joy. At number 7, we move to Central Asia. Tajikistan. This is where Christmas didn't just fade away. It was erased. In Tajikistan, the government has aggressively removed what it calls foreign cultural symbols. And one of those symbols was Santa Claus. In 2011, authorities officially banned Santa Claus from public celebrations. Christmas trees were removed from schools. Santa costumes were prohibited. Children's New Year events were rewritten. Even Christmas-themed TV shows were canceled. Why? The government claimed Santa Claus was not part of Tajik culture. Officials said children should celebrate national traditions instead. But this wasn't just about Santa. It was about control. Religious expression in Tajikistan is heavily regulated. Churches must register. Services are monitored. Public religious displays are discouraged. Christmas celebrations exist, but they are quiet, limited, and heavily supervised. Parents were warned not to let children dress as Santa. Schools replaced Christmas characters with government-approved figures. Imagine explaining to a child that Santa Claus is illegal. In America, Santa fills malls and parades. In Tajikistan, Santa vanished overnight. No debate. No vote. No choice, and this removal wasn't violent. Which makes it even more effective. Because when something disappears slowly, people stop asking where it went. And if you think banning Santa is extreme, the next country bans Christmas completely. So far, we've seen restrictions, warnings, quiet pressure. But now, we cross into countries where Christmas is openly forbidden. Where celebrating openly is not just risky, it's illegal. At number 6, we enter a country where Christmas is not misunderstood. It is forbidden. Saudi Arabia. For decades, Saudi Arabia officially banned all public celebrations of Christmas. No trees. No decorations. No music. No public services. And enforcement was serious. Religious police once patrolled streets during December. Shops were inspected. Decorations were confiscated. Store owners were warned. Repeat offenses meant fines or arrest. Christmas was viewed as a violation of religious law. Churches are not permitted to operate openly. Public Christian worship is illegal. And yet, Christians exist there. Millions of foreign workers live in Saudi Arabia, many of them Christian. So how do they celebrate Christmas? Quietly, behind closed doors, inside private homes, with curtains drawn, small gatherings, no singing too loudly, no social media posts. Even today, while Saudi Arabia has relaxed some cultural restrictions, Christmas remains sensitive. You may find decorations in limited private compounds, but public celebration remains restricted. For Americans visiting Saudi Arabia, this creates culture shock. In the US, Christmas is everywhere. In Saudi Arabia, it's nowhere. And this absence is intentional, because Christmas represents something the system does not allow: public faith outside state-approved belief. And once faith becomes private only, it becomes easier to erase. At this point in the video, let's pause for perspective. In the United States, Christmas is protected by the Constitution. Freedom of religion means the government cannot ban your holiday. You can decorate your house. You can attend church. You can say Merry Christmas without fear. Even if someone disagrees, the law protects your right. Now compare that to what we've seen so far. In Japan, Christmas lost its meaning. In China, it became political. In Brunei, it went underground. In Tajikistan, it was erased. In Saudi Arabia, it was banned. And we are only halfway through this list. So ask yourself this question: should celebrating a holiday ever require permission? Because in the countries ahead, permission is not enough. Silence is required. And sometimes, even silence is punished. Everything so far has involved restrictions, rules, monitoring, pressure. But now we enter countries where Christmas is treated as a threat to national security, where celebrating openly can put your life at risk. At number 5, Christmas is not officially banned, but it is quietly discouraged. Algeria. Algeria's constitution allows freedom of religion on paper. In reality, religious expression outside the majority belief is closely watched. Christian communities exist in Algeria, but they live under constant pressure. Churches must be officially approved. Services require permission. Gatherings are monitored. During December, that pressure increases. Public Christmas decorations are rare. Nativity scenes are almost non-existent. Christmas music in public spaces is discouraged. In past years, churches in some regions were ordered to close temporarily. Officials claimed administrative issues, but the timing was always December. For Christians living in Algeria, Christmas becomes a careful balancing act. Celebrate too quietly, and the holiday disappears. Celebrate too openly, and authorities notice. Many families choose silence. No decorations. No public gatherings. No visible celebration. Not because they don't care, but because visibility brings risk. This kind of pressure doesn't make headlines. There are no mass arrests. No dramatic raids. Just enough fear to make people stop. And that is often more effective than violence. Because when fear becomes routine, it becomes normal. At number 4, we reach one of the most extreme cases in the world. North Korea. In North Korea, Christmas is not discouraged. It is forbidden. Christianity itself is treated as a crime. Owning a Bible can result in imprisonment. Attending a secret church can lead to execution. Teaching Christianity to children can destroy entire families. Christmas does not exist on the calendar. Instead, December 25th is used to honor the birthday of Kim Jong-suk, the grandmother of the current leader. Christmas was replaced, erased. The government does not tolerate competition for loyalty. And religion is competition. There are state-controlled churches in North Korea, but they exist for propaganda, not worship. Foreign visitors are sometimes shown these buildings, but citizens are never free to enter. For ordinary North Koreans, even knowing about Christmas is dangerous. Information itself is restricted. Imagine growing up never hearing Christmas music, never seeing a tree, never knowing why December 25th matters elsewhere. And yet, despite the danger, underground Christians exist. They whisper prayers. They memorize scripture. They celebrate silently, in their minds. No lights, no songs, no gatherings. Just belief. Compared to everything we've covered so far, North Korea stands out. Not because it restricts Christmas, but because it replaces it entirely. And the countries left on this list go even further. We have reached the final 3. These are not places where Christmas is quietly limited. These are places where celebrating Christmas openly can get you imprisoned, or worse. At number 3, Christmas is not just illegal. It is dangerous. Somalia. In Somalia, the government has officially banned public Christmas celebrations. Every year in December, authorities issue public warnings. They tell citizens not to celebrate Christmas. They tell businesses not to decorate. They tell people to stay silent. The official reason is security. But the real reason is fear. Militant groups in Somalia have repeatedly attacked places associated with Christmas celebrations. Hotels, restaurants, public gatherings. Because of this, even mentioning Christmas publicly can put lives at risk. Churches are almost non-existent. Christians are an extreme minority. Most Christians in Somalia are converts, and converts face the greatest danger. Celebrating Christmas openly can result in violence. Not from police, from extremists. Families that celebrate do so in complete secrecy. No music, no lights, no gatherings larger than a few people. Even foreign workers are warned not to celebrate. In the United States, Christmas brings communities together. In Somalia, Christmas separates people from safety. And when celebrating a holiday risks death, silence becomes survival. At number 2, Christmas has been erased almost entirely. Afghanistan. There are no Christmas decorations, no Christmas music, no Christmas services. Christianity is not legally recognized. Converting to Christianity is punishable by death. Christians in Afghanistan live completely underground. Christmas exists only in memory. Believers do not gather. They do not sing. They do not decorate. They pray silently, alone. Foreign aid workers who once held private Christmas services were forced to stop. After recent political changes, restrictions became even harsher. Celebrating Christmas openly is unthinkable. Even owning a Bible can be fatal. There are no churches, no holidays, no protection. For Afghan Christians, Christmas is not a day. It is a thought hidden deep inside. And when a holiday must exist only in your mind, it is already gone. We've reached the final country. The number 1 place where Christmas is not just banned, but criminalized, where celebration itself is treated as rebellion. In the final position on this list is a country where Christmas is not misunderstood, not discouraged, not restricted. It is criminal. North Korea. In North Korea, Christmas does not exist as a holiday. It does not exist as a tradition. It does not exist as a memory. And for most citizens, it never existed at all. The government of North Korea does not simply ban Christmas. It replaces it. December 25th is not Christmas Day. It is the birthday of Kim Jong-suk, the grandmother of Kim Jong-un. The day that the rest of the world associates with faith, family, and hope is repurposed into loyalty. Loyalty to the state. Loyalty to the ruling bloodline. Loyalty to the leader. This is not symbolic. It is enforced. From childhood, North Koreans are taught that religion is poison. That faith weakens loyalty. That belief in anything beyond the leader is treason. Christianity is labeled a foreign infection, a weapon used by enemies, a threat to national survival. And Christmas, as the most visible Christian holiday, becomes the ultimate enemy. Owning a Bible in North Korea is a serious crime. Celebrating Christmas is a far worse one. Punishments are not fines. They are not warnings. They are not short detentions. Punishments include labor camps, public executions, and punishment not only for you, but for your entire family. This is called guilt by association. If one person is accused of practicing Christianity, 3 generations can be punished. Parents, children, grandparents, entire bloodlines erased. Because of this, Christmas does not happen quietly in North Korea. It does not happen secretly. It does not happen at all. But to understand how deep this erasure goes, you have to understand how information works inside the country. Most North Koreans do not know what Christmas is. They are not hiding it. They are not avoiding it. They are unaware of it. There are no Christmas movies, no Christmas songs, no decorations, no stories. Children grow up never hearing the word. December passes like any other month, except for mandatory events praising the ruling family. Schools hold ideological sessions. Workers attend loyalty meetings. Portraits are cleaned. Speeches are memorized. Instead of Merry Christmas, people repeat slogans. Instead of prayers, they recite propaganda. Instead of churches, there are statues. Massive statues. And everyone must bow. North Korea does have churches, officially. But they are not real. They are state-controlled buildings, created to deceive foreign visitors. Tourists are taken to these churches. Cameras are allowed. Carefully selected citizens attend. But the sermons are written by the government. The prayers are staged. The worship is fake. Real belief is never allowed. Real belief is dangerous. Because belief introduces an idea the government cannot control. Hope. Hope beyond the leader. Hope beyond the state. Hope beyond fear. That is why Christmas must be erased completely. Not hidden. Not tolerated. Not compromised. Erased. Yet despite this, Christmas still exists in North Korea. But not the way you imagine. It exists underground. In whispers. In memory. In absolute silence. There are secret Christians in North Korea. No one knows how many. Some estimates say thousands. Some say tens of thousands. No one knows for sure, because knowing is dangerous. These believers do not gather in groups. Groups are too risky. They do not sing. Sound travels. They do not own books. Books can be found. Instead, they memorize. Entire sections of the Bible are memorized word by word. Because memory cannot be confiscated. On December 25th, if they remember the date at all, they do nothing. No action. No sign. No ritual. They pray silently, sometimes without moving their lips. Some simply acknowledge the day internally. A thought. A feeling. A memory of something they were taught once, by someone who disappeared. Former defectors have spoken about this. They describe parents warning children never to speak certain words. Never ask questions. Never repeat foreign stories. Never sing unknown songs. Some defectors recall learning about Christmas only after escaping the country. As adults, imagine learning as an adult that the world celebrates something your government erased from your existence. Imagine discovering that joy was not illegal, it was stolen. And this is why North Korea stands at number 1. Not because it hates Christmas emotionally, but because it understands exactly what Christmas represents. To understand how dangerous Christmas is in North Korea, you have to understand the punishment system. North Korea does not punish individuals. It punishes bloodlines. This is known as collective responsibility asterisk. If one person is accused of religious belief, the punishment does not stop with them. Parents are arrested. Children are taken. Grandparents disappear. Entire families are sent to political prison camps. These camps are not prisons in the American sense. They are places of permanent disappearance. No trials. No release dates. No records. People are worked until their bodies fail. Food is rationed to starvation levels. Medical care does not exist. Deaths are routine. Former guards who defected have described these camps. They describe prisoners collapsing during forced labor. They describe bodies being removed without ceremony. They describe children growing up behind fences, never knowing why they are there. And among those prisoners, Christians, people accused of owning a Bible, people accused of praying, people accused of believing. Some were reported by neighbors. Some were betrayed by friends. Some were discovered by accident. A whispered prayer, a foreign word, a remembered song. And because Christmas is the most visible symbol of Christianity, it carries the highest risk. This is why underground Christians do not mark the day openly. They do not gather on December 25th. They do not treat it as a date on a calendar. Instead, Christmas becomes something abstract, a concept, hope. Former defectors have spoken about learning Christianity in secret. One defector described how their grandmother whispered stories at night. Not stories about Santa. Not stories about trees. Stories about a man born quietly. A man who taught love instead of fear. The child did not know this was Christianity. They did not know it was Christmas-related. They were just told it was dangerous to repeat. Years later, after escaping the country, that child realized what those whispers meant. They realized they had been taught fragments of Christmas without ever hearing its name. That is how completely Christmas is erased. Even language becomes forbidden. Words themselves are dangerous. And yet belief survives. Not because it is protected, but because it is human. Even in North Korea, where surveillance is constant, belief finds cracks. Some prisoners pray silently while pretending to work. Some memorize scripture line by line, repeating it mentally to stay sane. Some mark time internally, not by holidays but by survival. One defector described Christmas as the day I didn't know existed. Another said, "When I learned about Christmas in South Korea, I cried, not because I was religious, but because I realized how much was stolen from us." That is the true cost. Not just banning a holiday, but erasing the idea that people are allowed to hope freely. Now compare this to the United States. In America, Christmas is debated, commercialized, sometimes criticized, but it is never illegal. You can celebrate loudly. You can celebrate quietly. You can choose not to celebrate at all. And that choice is protected. In North Korea, there is no choice. Only obedience. Only silence. Only survival. Christmas is dangerous, not because of decorations or songs, but because it represents an alternative loyalty. A belief that authority does not come from the state. A belief that worth does not come from leaders. A belief that fear is not permanent. That is why it must be destroyed completely. not mocked, not restricted, destroyed. And this is what makes North Korea the final country on this list. Because here, Christmas is not hated emotionally. It is feared strategically. This video is not about blaming cultures. It is not about attacking people. It is about understanding freedom. In many countries on this list, people do not hate Christmas. They never chose to reject it. The decision was made for them. By governments. By laws. By fear. In the United States, Christmas often feels ordinary. Lights. Music. Shopping. But around the world, Christmas is still dangerous. Still illegal. Still punished. So the next time you hear a Christmas song in public, remember that somewhere, someone risks their life just to remember that song exists. And the next time you say, Merry Christmas freely, understand that freedom is not universal. It is rare. And it is fragile. Christmas is not just a holiday. In some places, it is an act of rebellion. Now we add bonus country. In this bonus section, we are entering a country where Christmas is not fully banned. But it is not free either. A country where churches exist, but only under rules. Where Christmas lights can glow, but only behind walls. Where celebrating openly can change your entire life. Iran. Iran is one of the most misunderstood countries when it comes to Christmas. Because unlike North Korea, unlike Afghanistan, unlike Somalia, Christmas technically exists here, but it exists conditionally. And that condition is fear. Iran officially recognizes Christianity, but only one kind. Only historic Christianity asterisk. Only for people who were born Christian. Armenian Christians. Assyrian Christians. For them, churches are allowed. Christmas services are legal. December 25th appears on calendars. But the moment you move outside this narrow definition, Christmas becomes dangerous. Because in Iran, converting to Christianity is illegal. And celebrating Christmas as a convert is treated as a crime against the state. This single difference changes everything. It creates two kinds of Christmas. One that is visible but controlled. And one that is invisible and hunted. To understand how Christmas works in Iran, you must first understand how religion works in Iran. Iran is not just a religious country. It is a religious state. Religion is not personal belief. Religion is law. The government is built on religious authority. And that means faith outside the official structure is not just disagreement. It is rebellion. Christian churches in Iran are monitored. Security cameras outside. Plainclothes officers inside. Attendance lists reviewed. Sermons are watched carefully. And there is one strict rule. Churches are not allowed to speak Persian. Why? Because Persian is the language of the people. And Christianity is not allowed to spread among the people. Services must be conducted in Armenian or Assyrian languages, languages most Iranians do not understand. This is intentional. Christmas services happen, but only in languages that isolate them. If a church is caught holding services in Persian, it can be shut down. Pastors can be arrested. And people attending can disappear. This is how Christmas survives in Iran. Not as a celebration, but as a controlled display. Now let's talk about Christmas decorations. In Christian neighborhoods, you may see lights. But never too bright. Never too public. Never too joyful. In mixed neighborhoods, decorations disappear entirely. Shop owners avoid Christmas displays. Not because they hate Christmas, but because visibility invites questions. And questions invite surveillance. Iranian Christians learn early. Do not draw attention. Do not post online. Do not sing loudly. Do not invite outsiders. because outsiders could be informants. And this is where Christmas becomes terrifying. Because the most dangerous thing in Iran is not celebrating Christmas as a Christian. It is celebrating Christmas as a former Muslim. Conversion is considered apostasy, a crime punishable by death under Islamic law. Even if executions are rare, imprisonment is not. And arrests are frequent. House churches, private Christian gatherings are raided regularly, especially during December, especially near Christmas. Security forces break into homes. Phones are confiscated. Books are seized. Bibles are labeled illegal foreign material. People are interrogated for hours. Some are released with warnings. Others are not released at all. Former prisoners have described what happens next. Solitary confinement. Blindfolds. Interrogations without lawyers. Questions are always the same. Who invited you? Who converted you? Who else attends Christmas with you? Christmas becomes a trap. The very act of gathering becomes evidence. And yet, people still celebrate. Quietly. In apartments. With curtains closed. Phones turned off. No music. No singing. Sometimes not even speaking. Just presence. Just belief. Just survival. For many Iranian Christians, Christmas is celebrated at night, silently, after everyone sleeps. A prayer whispered under breath. A remembered verse. A date marked only in the heart. Parents teach children not to repeat anything they hear. Not at school. Not with friends. Not online. Children learn early that Christmas is not something you talk about. It is something you hide. Now compare that to the United States. In America, Christmas is loud. In Iran, Christmas is careful. In America, Christmas fills public spaces. In Iran, Christmas shrinks into private rooms. And this is only the beginning. Because the deeper story of Christmas in Iran involves prisons, confessions, psychological torture, and people who vanished after December. For Iranian Christians, December is not a month of celebration. It is a month of vigilance, a month of fear, a month of survival. House churches, small groups meeting in apartments, become the most dangerous places in the country. Authorities know they exist. They know gatherings occur. And they know that December is when they will gather. In past years, security forces have conducted raids on private homes. Doors broken. Windows shattered. Neighbors sometimes coerced into informing. Those inside face immediate interrogation. Questions start simple. Who organized this gathering? How many people attended? Where are the Bibles? Who invited outsiders? Answers are irrelevant. The mere act of holding a private service is enough to justify detention. Prisoners are taken to small, local cells first, then moved to larger detention centers if the authorities believe the case is serious. Detention centers in Iran are not like Western prisons. Food is scarce. Hygiene is poor. Medical care is almost non-existent. Interrogations can last hours, sometimes days without breaks. During interrogations, prisoners are pressured to name other Christians. They are threatened with harm to themselves. They are threatened with harm to their families. They are told that the state knows everything, and that secrecy will only worsen their situation. Some detainees have been beaten. Some have been held in solitary confinement for weeks. Some have experienced psychological torture, being forced to sit silently in freezing rooms with bright lights and constant questioning. Christmas, something that is joyous in most of the world, is treated like a weapon in Iran. And yet, people continue to gather. Quietly, secretly, carefully. Bibles are hidden in ceilings. Songs are sung in whispers. Prayers are memorized. Children are taught coded ways to celebrate. A special gesture, a whispered greeting, a remembered verse. Families pass down knowledge silently. Older generations teach younger generations how to hide Christmas from the world and from the government. The risk is not abstract. It is real. It is tangible. It is life-altering. Many Iranian Christians who have tried to flee the country describe Christmas as the most dangerous month to be discovered. Security forces monitor neighborhoods more closely during December. Phone calls are recorded. Emails scanned. Visitors questioned. Even foreigners are warned to avoid any public display of Christmas. And yet, Christmas persists. Not as a holiday. Not as a festival. Not as an event. It exists in hearts. In whispered prayers. In secret midnight gatherings. In hope that survives fear. For someone living in Iran, the psychological burden of Christmas is enormous. You cannot sing openly. You cannot display a tree. You cannot invite friends. You cannot post online. You cannot even discuss it in private messages without risk. Children grow up learning that Christmas is a dangerous concept. That faith can kill. That joy can be punished. Every year, families weigh the risks. Do we hold a service indoors? Do we risk a neighbor noticing? Do we expose our children to even the smallest celebration? The consequences are never theoretical. They are always immediate and real. And yet, despite arrests, raids, interrogations, and constant surveillance, Christmas survives. It survives because belief is not a law. It survives because hope cannot be legislated away. It survives because people are willing to risk everything for a moment of remembrance. In hidden rooms, candles are lit. Songs are whispered. Prayers recited quietly. Verses memorized, passed from person to person, as if memory itself is the only safe church. For Iranian Christians, every Christmas is an act of rebellion. Every prayer is an act of defiance. Every tree hidden behind curtains is a symbol of courage. Inside Iran, underground churches operate like secret networks. They are hidden in plain sight. Apartments, basements, unused office spaces, sometimes even private homes with multiple families. These locations are carefully chosen. Windows covered, doors locked, visitors vetted in advance. Strangers are never allowed. During December, these churches transform. They must replicate Christmas silently. No bells. No carols. No visible decorations. Even the smallest Christmas tree is risky. A single string of lights can attract attention. A whispered song can be overheard. Church leaders coordinate discreetly. People are instructed not to tell anyone. Not neighbors. Not family members outside the network. Not even friends. Many who attended such gatherings describe fear like a constant weight. Every knock on the door. Every car outside. Every sound in the stairwell could be authorities. Despite precautions, raids happen. Security forces enter with no warning. Residents are taken into custody. Phones and computers are seized. Books and Bibles are confiscated. Interrogations follow. Questions are repetitive and relentless. Who invited you? Who else attended? Who distributed religious material? Are you converting anyone? Even refusing to answer can prolong imprisonment. Detention can last days or weeks. Some detainees are sent to central prisons in Tehran or other major cities. The conditions there are harsh. Cells are crowded. Food is minimal. Sanitation is poor. Medical care is almost non-existent. Many prisoners report psychological pressure. Isolation for long hours. Constant bright lights. Repeated questioning without rest. Threats toward family members to extract information. Children of Christian converts face unique challenges. Parents often teach them to hide their faith. to memorize prayers quietly, to avoid discussion with teachers or classmates. Even toys or symbols of Christmas are forbidden. A simple star or figurine can draw attention. A question from a curious friend can bring danger. Parents live in fear every December. They calculate the risk of every small action. Singing a song quietly at home, reading a Bible passage, lighting a candle. Even a single slip can result in interrogation or imprisonment. Former prisoners and defectors describe December as a month of heightened tension. One defector recalled, "We would gather in small groups, and even then, my hands would shake as I whispered the verses. Every sound from outside could have meant the end of our freedom." Another said, "I remember hiding the Bible inside the ceiling, just to pray without being noticed. One wrong move could have sent my entire family to prison." Some families have reported being forced to move homes after raids, never returning to their neighborhoods. Others have chosen to flee the country entirely. December in Iran becomes a test of endurance, secrecy, and faith. Despite these dangers, Iranian Christians continue to celebrate in secret. Memory becomes a church. Whispered words become prayers. Silent candles become symbols of resistance. The act of surviving December itself is a celebration. Christmas is no longer just a holiday. It is courage. It is defiance. It is hope. Families pass on knowledge generation to generation. A secret sign. A whispered greeting. A hidden tradition. Every year the risk grows, but so does the determination to preserve it. By now, you understand that in Iran, Christmas is not a day. It is not a holiday. It is not even fully a tradition. It is an act of survival, an act of courage, an act of hope. December is a month of heightened tension, a month when families quietly whisper prayers. It is a month when parents teach children to memorize verses, to celebrate silently, to remain invisible. It is a month when every glance, every sound, every neighbor becomes a potential risk. Imagine a world where joy is dangerous, where a song can lead to imprisonment, where a candle, a tree, a single ornament can become evidence of rebellion. This is the reality for Iranian Christians. And yet, despite fear, raids, interrogations, imprisonment, and constant surveillance, Christmas survives. It survives because hope is stronger than fear. Because faith cannot be erased completely. Because people are willing to endure hardship to preserve memory, to preserve meaning, to preserve something larger than themselves. And this brings us to reflection. What does Christmas mean? In much of the world, it is a time for lights, music, gifts, and gatherings. In countries we have covered, North Korea, Afghanistan, Somalia, Saudi Arabia, Brunei, China, Tajikistan, Algeria, Japan, Christmas is restricted, erased, banned, or dangerous. And in Iran, it exists only as an underground, invisible, courageous act. Yet in the United States, Christmas is everywhere. The contrast is staggering. You can walk into a mall, hear songs, see trees, and attend church without fear. You can decorate your home, invite friends and neighbors, share openly with family, celebrate without consequences. For Iranian Christians, freedom is a memory of what could be. For American Christians, freedom is reality. That contrast is the lesson here. Freedom is rare. Freedom is fragile. And it is precious. Christmas, in its essence, is more than presents or trees. It is hope. It is love. It is the courage to believe in something better. And in countries where it is banned, forbidden, or dangerous, the very act of remembering Christmas is an act of resistance. A whisper, a hidden candle, a prayer recited in silence, that is Christmas. And that is why this bonus episode matters. Because it reminds us that what we take for granted, the freedom to celebrate, to gather, to believe, is not universal. It is a gift, a privilege, and sometimes a responsibility. So as you hang your lights, sing your songs, and enjoy your meals this December, remember those who cannot. Remember the families who risk everything just to remember a story. Remember the children who learn in secret. Remember the courage it takes just to pray quietly. This video is not about politics. It is not about judgment. It is about awareness. Awareness that freedom to celebrate, freedom to believe, and freedom to hope are rights many in the world do not enjoy. Let this story remind us of gratitude. Let it remind us of empathy. And let it remind us that hope survives even in the darkest corners. Christmas is not just a holiday. It is a symbol, a beacon, a quiet act of defiance. And wherever it survives because humans refuse to let fear erase it. So this December, as you say Merry Christmas, remember. For some, that simple phrase is a dream. For some, it is a prayer. For some, it is rebellion. And that is the true spirit of Christmas.